women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace.
Thank you very much. I think the female musicians will have to wait. I'm sorry. Don't mind my eyesight. I will now call on the Director of Gender Affairs to give an overview of this year's celebration. Let's give her a big round of applause as we call Kudi, Tony,
Chairperson, Honorable Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Jallo, Ministers of Government present, Honorable Members of Parliament present, our development partners, women and girls of Sierra Leone, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The world over, International Women's Day represents an opportunity to celebrate achievements of women while calling for greater equality. Each year, International Women's Day celebration International Women's Day is celebrated on March 8th to mark the economic, social, cultural, and political achievements of women. International Women's Day has been observed since 1900, a time of great expansion and turbulence in the industrialized world that saw booming population growth and the rise of radical ideologies. The then socialist movement gave birth to IWD that has now grown from strength to strength annually, gaining global recognition and celebration across developed and developing countries for decades. The United Nations have held several annual International Women's Day conferences to coordinate international efforts for women's rights and participation in social, political, and economic processes. 1975 was designated as International Women's Year by the United Nations. Sierra Leone started International Women's Day celebration in 1985, and since then, the event has become a time to reflect on progress made in the advancement of women and attainment of gender equity in society. In 2013, His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma officially declared March 8th as a public holiday, making Sierra Leone one of the 28 countries to observe March 8th every year as a public holiday. This year's global theme is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. However, the International Women's Day Planning Committee contextualized the national theme to read as Put Value per Woman for the Quick Better. Let me run through the objectives quickly. This year's objective, one of the objectives, is to raise awareness about investing in women and girls for societal progress and development. To highlight the urgent need to increase financial and resources to address gender disparities and empower women in Sierra Leone. To advocate for gender-responsive policies and programs that prioritize women's rights and well-being. Showcase the achievements of women and girls in various fields and their contributions to national development. Mobilize stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society organizations, the private sector, and the public, to take collective actions towards gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. Madam Chairperson, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this International Women's Day Advocacy Forum has triggered several policy and legal reforms contributing to the advancement of women in Sierra Leone. Let me attempt to cite few examples. The establishment development of a gender desk in the office of the chairman and head of state of the NPRC 1994. The creation of a whole gender and children's affairs ministry in 1996. The development of the twin policies, the National Policy on the Advancement of Women 2000 and the National Gender Mainstreaming in 2000. In 2007, International Women's Day celebration, the former head of state, Vice President Ahmad Tijan Kaba, issued certificates of urgency for the passage of domestic violence bill, the evolution of estates bill, and registration of customary marriage and divorce bill. In 2009, International Women's Day focused on why should women die while giving birth in 2010, and free healthcare initiative for pregnant women, lactating mothers, and children under 5 was launched. Passage of the Sexual Offences Bill in 2012. In 2010, women of Sierra Leone in Moyamba, during the IWD, received presidential apology from former President Ernest Bai Koroma, honoring the recommendation of the TRC. In 2011, in Maboroka, women called for the minimum 30% quota. A bill was drafted which was expected to go through a private member motion. In 2019, women called for the development of the gender equality and women's empowerment policy. It was delivered in 2020. Lastly, advocacies and engagements have led to the enactment of several laws, including the groundbreaking Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act 2022. Thank you very much for your attention. And happy International Women's Day celebration.
Thank you very much, Judy. I would now call on the female musicians to come and perform for us.
Show right. Hey! Jump, 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 show right! Ladies and gentlemen, everybody afternoon today. When I see me a smile and me first come on the stage, it's as a result of anything we women they do, we man them for support. Women power! Men support! We know that with the female musician them over years, and we always support them for waiting that they do. DJ, drop the tune and let's go.
It's salon people there. This is a message where they come up from the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs within Pakistan. Say this year International Women's Day, we forbid value for women for better week. And them not for support we, so we go able to do more. Not for support we, so we go able to do more. Encourage we, cause not that we want. Now let for abuse we, my teach we, invest in those for a better future. Invest in those for a better future. We value the woman, forget that we, that's alone, yeah. We value the woman, invest in us so we all go better. We value the woman, forget that we, that's alone, yeah. We value the woman, invest in us so we all go better. Power and the vision to transform the world to a better place. To a better place. Better Alex got the mission. Let's get on go, let's run the race. Let's run the motivates me so. Put value in my way for me come up. I'm in the mood, yes I'm in control. But it feels so special, it's so great. Feel like there's no reason to isolate. Feel like I'm always on top of issues. My body feel like what's so what's been on.
Give it to man, woman can do better thing. What is for man? Give it to man, woman can do what a man can do. What is for man? Give it to man, woman now we are the whole world. Yeah, I value to all women. So when we not listen along, what would I say? What I'm calling I got seven. What would you go to and I go to? Never say, yeah, I told you to go back to man. What do I do? So for me, I won't get to later. You will see a nice year. See, I think I go to the night year. And now, what of the activity? All of the man. So, Yanni Garcia, for Nelly, Yana Garcia, to Garcia, to Tiago Patricia.
Well, sending us it's them a gift for sale. Woman, I own a woman, I will to harm. Well, left and I go spend time with another one. When they start to walk, then when they come, there you go. Come, there you go. Then they was found, was what. So the other we value them, value them.
Woman can do the things you do. Say, woman can do the things you do. So can we value them? So woman can play a better role in national development. So woman can play a better role. So the best for the woman, go better queen. That's the Lord. We value the woman, better love. So you go better. We value the woman, better queen. That's the Lord. We value the woman, better love. So you go better. We value the woman.
For them beautiful women there. You don't let me message. They say put value per woman, not so. Because we do better past the man there, we lie. We don't do better past the man there. And now we talk past them, not so.
Okay,
and make we say the success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up, work together, network, teamwork, support each other. On that note, I want to recognize 3 powerful networks in the country where the women and they don't do so well in this country. I want to recognize the vibrant women of the northern region, the network there, the president there, Isatu Smith, can you please stand up? The dynamic women from the southern region, Sprones, and also the wise women from the eastern region. Are we there, the wise women? And they ask VP to also so because they video the women are. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We do the program quick because we want for make people go pray. We are not saying allergy. Now with the council statement, we want to make them short. 2 minutes. I will now call on the president of the umbrella organization in the country, the Women's Forum President, Adam Sally Adams, for come make a short statement. Can we clap for the president? Thank you, Madam Chair. Woman, are we there? I know you're here too. Woman, are we there? Now we there this studio. Before they talk my speech, when I went out on a man and say, today now we there relax, enjoy, men look for we are, talk like for yourself. Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Kajalo, Ministers of Government present, Honorable Members of Parliament, our development partners, our women of Leone, members of the First Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings from the Women's Forum Sierra Leone, the National Women's Umbrella. Today, we are here to celebrate another historic event, tagged as the International Women's Day. We all know the meaning of International Women's Day. It's the day we recognize our women, despite their cultures, walks of life. Among them are the rural women. So therefore, let me, on behalf of the women of Sierra Leone, extend our greetings to the government of Sierra Leone for championing the cause of women and to encourage you to do more. As the national umbrella for women and girls in Sierra Leone, we would like to applaud your government for the gains made in the last 2 years in ensuring a conducive policy and legal environment for women and girls in Sierra Leone. We all know that women form 51% of population, but we are still disproportionately underrepresented in political, social, and economic spheres in Sierra Leone. Your government has always listened to associate with women in addressing our plight. Your Excellency, Madam Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, majority of our women are in the formal sector and mostly in farming. It is estimated that over 60% of the food that gets to the table for consumption are produced by women. With the medium-term national development plan and fixed loan being the flagship game changer, women are prepared to support this initiative and contribute to household food sufficiency in Sierra Leone. Let your Ministry of Agriculture, I repeat, let your Ministry of Agriculture and partners work with women farmers collaboratively. We are happy that your government in 2022 passed into law the Customary Land Rights Bill and the Land Commission to address overt of indiscrimination in the access and control of land resources against women. We all know what is happening. Langabas. We remain grateful for such positive reforms as this will contribute to economic empowerment of women, since the majority of our rural women are into agriculture and subsistence farming. Women of Sierra Leone for the longest time have advocated for the passage of sound policies and laws in conformity with our international and regional instruments our country has acceded to. Your government had the audacity to adopt the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Policy in 2019, which has paved way for the enactment of Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Bill 2022. As we are celebrating this day, we want to make the following recommendations. Your Excellency. 1. Inclusion of women in the climate, inclusion of women in the committee charged with the responsibility of reviewing the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone. Women of Sierra Leone are hopeful that our recommendations that we have submitted to late Justice Kawa will be approved in totality. 2. Government apparatus to set up to address human rights, protection, prevention, and prosecution to be more assertive. In the midst of the sound policies and legislation aimed at addressing violence against women, enforcement and implementation remains challenged. 3. The procurement of forensic equipment to provide scientific collaboration to investigate of sexual violence matters is long overdue. A lot of cases are thrown out of court for lack of proof. 4. While we applaud you for the Munafa funds, for which majority of the beneficiaries are women, we need more economic livelihood and security for women is still challenging, and we therefore appeal to the government to do more. While we commend government for drastic reduction in maternal mortality in Sierra Leone, we still need to do more and ensure imbalances and ambulance service, drugs and position throughout the country. Let me conclude by calling the women of Sierra Leone to reflect on this day and bring about an innovative ways of contributing to the development of Sierra Leone. Once more, I wish you all happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I will now call on the country manager, World Bank, to make a short statement.
Honorable Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Gulejalo, distinguished colleagues, guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, I would like to congratulate the government for marking the National Women's Day. Leone has registered significant strides, particularly on the reform trajectory for different ways to bring about gender equality. And the list is long. More recently, it is the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act. Before that, we have the Customary Land Act, acts to manage domestic violence, improving women's education, particularly the radical inclusion policy to bring girls in school. So much significant achievements on the reform angle. But also in terms of education and the sector achievements, we see gender parity in schools. We see a reduction in maternal mortality, infant mortality, and fertility rates on health side. We see improvement in managing gender-based violence through the measures taken by the ministry, for example, the one-stop center that we see across the districts. So significant achievement has been made. But Honorable Vice President, women are still disproportionately poor, disproportionately employed in the informal sector. Women still lack access to assets, and so on and so on, in addition to still suffering stereotypes and gender-based violence. The only way we can keep the reform trajectory is to stay on course, while at the same time we continue to demystify the cultural, societal, customary norms that impede women, and in some ways continue to contribute to, for example, things like female genital mutilation, which we should see decline and total elimination. And we believe Sierra Leone can do it. Honorable Vice President, we are here to work with you. The World Bank has a sizable portfolio of about $1 billion. We will continue working with you on the National Development Plan, the new plan, just like we've been working on the plan that is ending now. I would like to conclude my statements by just appealing each one of us. We have a role to play. No matter where you are, ask yourself the question, what am I doing to make investment in my daughter, my wife, my relative, my co-worker? If we ask that question from where we sit, then we will see an improvement in where we are. I end by citing two examples of young women who are so inspiring and motivated by their resilience. One is Aja Ndiaye. She's in Karene district. She left her job in Senegal as an accountant who was earning a lot of money, but chose to go and work with poor women farmers in Karene. These are the kind of people we need to support. Another one is Yata. She's in Masiaka, where she's having over 5 acres of onions. And you can see her struggling to push through this dry season, irrigating manually to make sure that she gets a bumper harvest against all odds of good onions to bring to the market. These are the kind of women we should support and see more resilient, and many more are there. In the interest of time, I'll stop here, but I would just like to say we continue the course, invest in women. There is a lot of achievements we have to celebrate. I know there are challenges, but let's focus on the positives and how we can accelerate this further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you invest in us and our girls, next time when we have such program, we want to see our role models occupy the high table. We do appreciate our development partners, and they have invested in us so much. They would want to see our role models, the women that are breaking the glass ceiling in this country. Tonight is our day. We're supposed to be here in our numbers so that our children that are going to take after us will see their role models, and that will motivate them further to be like us. So the Ministry of Gender, we are next step. We want to see plenty women at this table. We want to see with Sierra Leonean women there. We want to see with female MPs. We want to see with Baku ministers. We want to see with councillors, so that then we begin the way council. They will know say the struggle for women empowerment not go in vain. And no say yes, can get women there. All is not lost. We don't do so much for this country where they can copy from. Thank you. Now we can call on one pot. So let them can give me short performance. Bamboy and his colleagues, work for everyone can give me short performance as we get plenty speakers on the program. Bamboy, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I don't let you, mama. I came for come ready today. Now I make a dot the rest one day. Buddha? What is Buddha? Buddha?
No.
In that one, we are you. Brother second he married na today. Now they are done direct for Koso. They say na central how they call it the mosque bar. You don't cook them?
Yes, I don't cook them.
Wait it. I they go for comment.
Wait, no go.
Ememu. What it?
Not say I don't say one lands.
Huh?
One land computers.
Shut up! I said shut up! Not best. He married not enough. Married one married her and not pulling me the money. Now they say for that code you. It came as you. If I not die, I will kill you. Not best. Papa God the can't get today I used to know. Count today then not best talk the day to me. I want to learn on the pizza, can learn tie dye. If I can let tie self, you die one tell. Tie dye. Not best. The money was spent for marriage, I don't pull up. Either one, my brother, my small brother, simple 10 night about me 30 days, almost a day back. Black kitty for rubbish.
One learn something you know. And for me, you better one. When you empower woman, it will be something at the future.
Shut up! What are you empower? Woman, where they are creative, so why put woman for something you know? In the tinap coupe. You, this is my redos. I don't think say you want less for this ocean. You want less for this ocean. Not space. But you don't say, I don't know. Marco!
You know, say now begin day when they just pull on society. So I know I let it. I should go on that for all the can because I remember they talk to one person where one put and collect. That no allow them go collect. So I want just woman. Hey, come me. Woman not the go school. Woman in a for money begin there. Yes, that's true.
I brother invite her.
I invite her. Oh, okay, BP. I invite her.
In the body man.
Yeah, Mr.
I want to talk to her. Man,
hey, look, my boy. Hey, come on, yo.
What are the market? What can they say?
What you want to do?
Na married with the go.
Una no for suppose you money. Na market at the go. My wife, Rhoda, that one day, he don't get drink in a head. Yeah, he dey do computer. Hey, they do computer. He dey do terroring. He dey do garage. He don't long go because damn it, by the old king come for play draft. Pull them. Then go advise me. He say fine. Then you empower woman. So now I don't do so. Before you know what you know, those are you they can better. But those are you that I don't better.
Baboy,
now
not about here. They say temptation may come, but who may cause it. Now you wait there so. Who's the level is up at school?
Hey, Sana 6.
You not sandal day. You went for them and shoes. Baboy, what they say for full masala na let you.
Let out.
Because that woman when they put power pan and so you not sandal day. That the way don't count. You now boy the diaper boy.
Hey, Marco, Mr. Baboy, Namana Os.
It's a big Mana Os. We say,
Una na push more than even the top where they go. They say man and woman, then they work side by side.
Nana no say stupid like a dog. Side by side, now when the man there before for education, not when the woman there before.
But when I try
woman they create full Baboy.
okay.
Let not take the uncle pull back on fire.
Simple, tell us that stop Rosalina for code.
If brother na Julie, they no can give me case. He say na him advisor.
Oh, Najuli.
He never tell you 1 for wealth, 11 success.
Go do that thing, not try for me.
Oh,
I go advise me, now I don't get sense. For me, I dey talk leave. You dey get us so take the wrong thing. This leaf is not rotting. Well, then would that go wrong? Now do they do me? I not think so. All man women are wrong.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, but school.
Who side they go?
I you said for they go class.
Who side they go?
I go class.
Okay. I want to know say that class day from today. I don't transfer, embargo, I don't blockade her. In fact, that's a point. No time, no they go. That leave way they use for me. I don't get sense. I don't care. You live with the rotting. So you want to tell me to Fuma? All manners around they rough me. Looking for why? You remember all things are not really. Hey, let me make you know. What is?
You make a laugh. Gone are the days where we the woman for in a kitchen.
Now kitchen, I don't.
Gone a farm. She don't know one house. I dey go empower myself. Una go better myself tomorrow.
Also, Nagame, you want me support?
I will take care of you.
Okay, fine. When I now don't know. So you wanna all that die? Okay. Hey, woman get too much for me, boy. That's how it up.
Let me tell you something. We are side by side.
Me?
No, listen me now. We are side by side. You don't see no woman be lawyer, magistrate, first lady. They drive plane. They do all.
Oh, them born they what are you? You not married woman.
I then on the balanda, I don't open my ears at the under secretary they talk. The literature and the occupas became a
not to down there. The way was I use for me, you don't expect.
What to use? I told you to tell you so. Woman, na for one no more. What also? Woman na kitchen. Woman and the bien. Now on side by side. Support the woman. Empower. We demand for support the woman.
What do you mean do for a man at this point?
Do something. What do you remember say?
You brother do they don't advise me.
Me not full of my but I'm not full like you. Me no have never been there. If they go adult literature school, when come up there, they go catering. When come up there, they go how do you call it? Columba
Education.
What education?
Computer.
Confidence.
Oh. So now like me.
Who demand for them to Mandela empower them? See, they say they can talk about English. They say when you educate a girl child, you don't educate the nation.
When another one then I do that, tell me. It's your way educate the girl picking. You educate the
girl. From today, support you man.
That's what which man do. Let me run back. Let me run back. So una kana like I used to want to marry so small picking I know this is not abuse
and the reloaded but him have you know the play pattern then una get the habit they forgot take them small picking there una give them to marry a case then the case is there above me
I mean that means I make sure
so we demand them from today. Now support the woman for like the girl empowerment.
Yeah, true.
For Kiladi, BP, they are playing empower me like we empower me woman.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Teacher, I see you A+. So what you say? Come on, me eye. The don't boss me eye. A+, the don't which eye. Daddy, they want TV eye. Ibiza. They want bully eye. Namsi, they want bumpy eye. Cheka, they want bully eye. Prince, they want bumpy eye. Ena, cheesy, tabakule kabad. Me eye, they want rich me eye. Me eye, they want this eye. Me eye, they don't bumpy eye.
I'll now call on the Ambassador of Ireland to make a short statement. Please welcome the Ambassador of Ireland.
Vice President Jallow, fellow ministers, members of the diplomatic community, allow me to stand on existing protocol. It's a great privilege to be here today, to be here amongst a lot of the women leaders, a lot of the men leaders as well, who are bringing about the substantive change that is happening in Sierra Leone. I'm conscious right around the world today, in every country, there are events that celebrate this important day. SDG 5, gender equality and women's empowerment. Not one country has got there yet. We're all on this journey together still. And the question is, who's moving fast? Who's really committed? Who are making the changes to get us there? And I'm happy to be in a country where I think I can justifiably say Sierra Leone is on that high level of achievement. When we look at what has happened over the past 5-6 years, I want to dwell on two issues. One is the investment in education. We've recently reached the stage where there are more girls now enrolled in primary education than boys. That is a fundamental building block for gender equality and women's empowerment. That's how we get there. It's that investment in education. And I salute the government for a continued 22% of the budget going into education. Let's make sure that that continues. Let's educate our girls. The girls, the women, this is our future. This is our shared future. Let's keep that going. The other significant development, I think, in the country over recent years has been the GWE Act. And now we have more than 33% of women right across the political system here. That's a fundamental change. There's no going back. Now is the time for women to take control, take leadership. Let's keep that going. And I'm very encouraged with Irish Aid. We work with a lot of NGOs, civil society, national, international NGOs who are part of this movement. We're investing in the Women Parliamentarians Group. We're investing in the councils. We're investing in the young women in governance movements. That's our pipeline. That's what we need to keep doing to bring women to the front and to make sure that women lead and women are not left behind. I'll keep my input short, so I want to say this is a chance for us donors to restate our commitment. We are committed. If the government can keep that drive, that commitment, that vision, we are here to support. We love supporting success, and we want to sustain that momentum, we want to grow that momentum. And I'd hope, with these events into the future, we'll start seeing countries celebrating the achievement of SDG 5. We'll start seeing countries saying, we are there. We now have gender equality. We now have full women's empowerment. I want to see Sierra Leone one of the first countries over the line. You're showing brilliant leadership at the moment. Keep it up. We'll back you. We're committed to support you on that journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Indeed, there's no going back for the women of Sierra Leone. Watch out, 2028. I'm going to give you a formidable presidential candidate for the women of Sierra Leone. And they watch me back. Why make that statement that they watch me back? But indeed, we are not going back. We are moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I now call on the head of European delegation to make a short statement.
Your Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, government ministers, Salone, Women Dem, please allow me to stay on existing protocol. I feel honored to be here today. The European Union and Sierra Leone share the aim for a world where rights of girls and women are claimed, valued and respected by all. For a world where everyone can fulfill their potential and contribute to a more fair and just society. Many years have passed since the first International Women's Day, and the world still needs to be inspired. Women are the ones who are going to inspire this change, to inspire inclusion. Inspire Inclusion is this year's theme. Inspire inclusion of girls in education. Inspire inclusion of women in the job market. Inspire inclusion of women in decision making. Inspiring inclusion of women and girls is not a lady's business, but everyone's business. Yes, let's all be a he for she. And the participation and recognition of equal rights of women are prerequisites for sustainable development, economic prosperity, and a peaceful society. We should all bear in mind that everything starts with granting women access to education. That is the cornerstone of a prosperous society. So, congratulations also from my side to the government of Sierra Leone for bringing more girls to school. Ensuring women's access to education will grant access to decent work. And decent work is vital for human welfare and allows families to be taken out of poverty. Breaking the barriers that exist for women in entering income-generating activities will disrupt cycles of poverty. The European Union is resolute in promoting decent work, equal pay, and facilitating women's formal economic participation. However, also within the European Union, a lot of work still has to be done to reach these targets. Gender equality is a core value that European Union and Sierra Leone share. The European Union commends the efforts of Sierra Leone towards gender equality and congratulates the government and the women for their leadership. With the great work to implement the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, the country has the potential to make further remarkable progress towards an inclusive society with women fairly represented at political, institutional and economical level. Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union and the government of Sierra Leone are on the women's side. Today I'm very pleased to announce that very soon the financing agreement between the European Union and the government of Sierra Leone that will kickstart a specific program to end all forms of violence against women and girls, the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, will be signed. This ambitious program is a joint effort between the European Union and the United Nations in partnership with the government of Sierra Leone to address the following important issues: legislative and policy barriers, as well as norms and behavior, and aiming at improving survivor services and reinforcing women's rights groups. On this positive note, I wish you all a very happy International Women's Day, side by side, and put value per woman for them quick better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me recognize the presence of our female MPs that are here today, our female ministers and deputy ministers, heads of parastatals, you're all welcome. Women's organizations, you're all welcome. I now call on the British High Commissioner to make a short statement.
Honourable Vice President, people, protocols. Woman there. Aglari for si bopustong woman, and he she's naya today. Now next time, Madam President, Advisor, I agree. We want to see bopusalon woman dem na the top table, not so? Yes. Now listen, I've been to so many different International Women's Day events in my lifetime, and they always lift my heart in many, many different countries. But I have to say, this one feels very special. Now we're not going to gloss over the fact that there is still so many challenges, and the World Bank country director set that out really compellingly. We've got global rollback, we know, on women's rights. And here in Sierra Leone, easy, not so? It's hard for women everywhere. We know that some men, still a third of the population, and we see particularly in younger men, think that violence against women is in some circumstances acceptable, and that has to change. But today, right here and right now, we are here to celebrate. Now we're celebrating an International Women's Day where, as you've heard, implementation of the GWE bill is in full swing. We're celebrating an International Women's Day where 34% of your ministers are women. And we see that in deputy ministers coming through in councillors, in MPs. But perhaps to me, even more excitingly, women are leading the way on cross-party collaboration through the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs reignition of NUMAC. Women are role modelling, putting issues and the citizens they serve ahead of politics, and I think that's hugely impressive. And we're celebrating an International Women's Day where there are tangible improvements at each stage of a woman's life. And I'm really proud that the UK can work hand in glove alongside Sierra Leone to double the girls in secondary school, to close that performance gap between boys and girls, to ensure that over 1 million people in Sierra Leone over 7 years had access to family planning, so they had control and choice, and also to work alongside Sierra Leone to support a globally recognised drop in maternal mortality. And we're celebrating also an International Women's Day, where next week in New York, the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, she's going to be co-hosting with the UK's Special Envoy for Gender an event on adolescent girls' empowerment at the Commission on the Status of Women, because countries need to learn from Salone. Salone are one country where they go before for push women's rights, in a good example for the world. Hope so you can understand me clearly. I still learn, okay? So listen, on this special International Women's Day, I want to join other speakers in commending the phenomenal progress in Sierra Leone and Sierra Leone's progressive stance on gender equality. The vision of HE, the most senior he for she that I've ever met in many countries, and the president that talks the most about menstrual hygiene than many men I've met, alongside the VP, a dedicated he for she, as we know, having First Lady, a first-hand experience of the Minister of Gender, and many, many more across the political spectrum, movements, women's rights organisations, civil society. All this combined is starting to change the game. Now, the theme of today is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. It's right at the heart of what we do in the British High Commission. Educating girls, empowering women and girls, and ending violence. It's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. And we're investing in women because we know women have got the solutions. They're already doing the work. They're already leading in their communities. And we know that progress is longer lasting when it's led by women. And we should never forget, women powerful. And what we can do, man no go able to do them. Not all the time anyway. Not so? Now, I mentioned women's rights organisations, grassroots movements, girls-led organisations. They are absolutely critical to continue progress. And I was privileged to have a young advocate, Titi Memunata Sano, take over as High Commissioner for the day. I had an easy ride for a day. It was great. This is part of an International Women's Day collaboration with Plan International, and she was inspirational. She showed that when women are in decision-making and leadership roles, they show their powers, they show their talents, and perhaps more importantly, they inspire and advocate the girls all over the country that they represent. Good value pa woman for then quick better. It really underlined that agenda. Now to close, as Madam Presidential Advisor said, these statements are about commitment. Now, Vice President, Honourable Vice President, I urge you and your government to keep trailblazing, because that's what you're doing in Salone. To commit to leaving no one behind on the next leg of this incredibly impressive journey, including those in rural and hard-to-reach communities, those with disabilities, and those who are marginalised or excluded from society for whatever reason, those across the political spectrum. I commit the UK to continuing to work with Salone on removing the barriers to gender equality, because that is what will sustainably boost and inclusively boost the country's development and accelerate progress. Umidem na the backbone of the country, where we tin up chong and Taiwi Oja, all things go come out fine. Happy International Women's Day.
We tie we order tight and put value per woman business. So. Thank you very much. I now call on the Ambassador of the United States of America to make a short statement.
The Honorable Vice President of Sierra Leone, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, the Honorable Presidential Advisor on Gender, Honorable Ministers and Vice Ministers of Government, Honorable Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, distinguished guests, happy International Women's Day. Today's theme aligns perfectly with the partnership between the United States and Sierra Leone, through which we are already working together to support sustainable economic growth, strengthen democratic institutions, and achieve improved health outcomes by empowering women. Investing in women is a strategic investment in a nation's future. No country can thrive if it fully utilizes less than half of its population. Full gender equality is critical for national growth. Women need not only to be provided seats at the decision-making table, they need to be given genuine and equal leadership roles. We must ensure that they are afforded the same training and development opportunities as their male counterparts, that work environments with zero tolerance for sexual harassment, gender-based violence, and gender discrimination are built, and that women's contributions are equally valued, recognized, and most importantly, compensated. While networks of women supporting one another are critical, men equally need to become strong advocates for gender-friendly policies and for women's empowerment. As former United States Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton often stated, women's rights are human rights, and I would add equally that women's economic empowerment is national economic empowerment. The United States is committed to continuing to cooperate with the people and government of Sierra Leone on advancing gender equality and economic empowerment. And we will continue to work with you to ensure that all of our collaborative development and exchange programs, whether in health, agriculture, economic growth, climate change, or democracy and governance, include a deliberate focus on women and the specific and unique needs of this demographic. This past January, the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, visited Sierra Leone. As part of her trip, she took time out of her very busy schedule to join a panel discussion at Forum Bay College with the Honorable Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs and one of our Tech Women alumni to discuss women's leadership in society. When asked by one of the younger women present how to begin that role towards leadership, Ambassador Thomas-Greenfield encouraged her to speak up, sit in the front of the row, and ask questions as a first step to developing her leadership skills. I hope that as we all continue to work for national development, that we will provide the support and encouragement for young women to follow Ambassador Thomas-Greenfield's advice. I continue to be inspired by the Sierra Leonean women I meet every day who are creating positive change, and I am honored to support them and the Sierra Leonean government to ensure a healthy, prosperous, and democratic future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I now call on the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations to make a short statement.
Honorable Vice President, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, MPs, development partners, my UN colleagues here present, all esteemed participants and advocates for gender equality, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a happy International Women's Day. I'm honored, first and foremost, as a woman, and secondly, as the UN Resident Coordinator, to address you at this significant International Women's Day, the forum with the theme Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. The theme encapsulates the essence of our collective vision and mission of advancing gender equality and empower women worldwide. Women globally continue to demonstrate their leadership in standing up for the rights of other women and girls in all aspects of the life. And in Sierra Leone, we bear in mind the enabling and positive effects of the GWE Act, as everybody has highlighted here. The President launched the resuscitated network of women ministers of parliamentarians with the hope that the platform will be used to specifically amplify the voices of women in decision-making processes, address gender issues and gender challenges, and work towards policy, legislative, and constitutional forms that promote gender equality and women's empowerment, among others. And here, as UN, we stand ready and we are behind you to support. Because we recognize that it is imperative to recognize women's pivotal role in driving socio-economic development, fostering peace, and building resilient communities. However, despite their undeniable contributions, women in Sierra Leone but globally are still facing multifaceted and avoidable challenges that hinder their full participation in governance, the realization of their rights, and the utilization of their full potential. In a world facing multiple challenges that put immense pressure on communities, achieving gender equality is more vital than ever. And ensuring women's and girls' rights across all aspects of life is the principal channel of secure, prosperous, and just economies and a healthy planet for future generations. Moreover, investing in women is not merely a matter of moral imperative. It is a strategic imperative for sustainable development. When we invest in women, we invest in the prosperity of families, in the prosperity of our communities and nations. We unleash the untapped potential that lies within each woman and thereby accelerating progress toward achieving sustainable development goals. To invest in women, we must also prioritize investment in education, healthcare, economic opportunities.
Problem in all the field.
To ensure that women and girls can strive and fulfill their inspiration. And moreover, we must challenge harmful gender norms and stereotypes that perpetuate discrimination and violence against women. Progress toward gender equality requires sustained effort and collective commitment. I've heard from all those who speak before me that Sierra Leone is progressing, but it needs to be sustainable. We are still looking further and we still have more to do. We must work hand in hand to dismantle systemic inequalities, promote women's leadership and participation in decision-making processes, and ensure access to justice and essential services for survivors of gender-based violence. And therefore, on this International Women's Day, let us reaffirm our dedication to invest in women and accelerate progress in gender equality and women's empowerment. Let's hasten the power of collective action to create a more just, inclusive, and equitable world for all. Thank you, and happy International Women's Day again.
Thank you very much, Madam RC. Let me recognize the presence of the Honorable Alpha Khan and also former Honorable Helen Piembe. You are welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I now call on our own Madam Kenye Kale, the Minister of Planning and Economic Development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For your Excellency, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow, and for all others, I want to beg Madam Chair that I stand on existing protocols, except to greet and welcome the beautiful, dynamic, resilient women of Sierra Leone. I want to retract myself. I'm not able to find any adjective in Creole. The ones that way are able to be produce, start, and I don't know how then compliment. So we will stay with the English compliments. Madam Chair, give me the authority to talk in both Creole and English. But since me Creole can sail off the English, I think I will do slightly better than the British High Commission. So, all man gone talk about the importance of this day, why the day is important to set aside for making effects on achievements, and for also to look at challenges and look forward to how we go address these challenges, a call to action. In terms of the achievements, the government don't get beaucoup achievement over the past 5 years since 2019 up to present, and other speakers then don't elaborate on these achievements, but I will highlight some of the achievements again for emphasis. The achievements in the education sector, where we don't maintain parity, the same number of girls and boys in primary school, and we don't increase in the junior secondary school the enrollment of girls from over 55% to 110%. In the area of political participation, also we don't talk about this number of women were involved in politics, both in the cabinet, in parliament, councillors, and at every level. They are the achievements. Other speakers then don't talk about the constraints. The World Bank representatives and other speakers, and if we talk about them in relation to the theme, investing in women, focusing on economic empowerment, there are still constraints in terms of access, the factors of production, land, even labor in the rural areas, capital. So, as a government, we have to address this. But as this morning, as a Timak owner, with honor and humility, as the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, but most importantly, I stand beside all the women there within. And I believe, not a mistake, where the President appoints the Minister of Planning and Economic Development as a woman. Because when I was in there at the launch of the medium-term National Development Plan on the 30th of January, when I've been informed or I informed say the medium-term development plan is gender sensitive. We not only get a section on women's empowerment, which they focus on women's economic and women's political empowerment under the Big Five game changers to human capital development. But we also get Enabler 4, where they ensure that we mainstream gender throughout the National Development Plan. And we are monitoring the disaggregation of impact on man and woman of this plan. But very, very importantly, and I'll just talk about this briefly because I have to every occasion, the Big Five game changers. And I will tell you, the Big Five game changers said they're gender sensitive and recognize the role of women. For feed alone, the women are really in the agricultural sector, you have more women than men. And therefore, in addition to our focus on commercial agriculture, if we not support women, salon no go fit. So we recognize this, and we recognize women at the center of salon. Also, very recently, I been at a forum where they do the peace and conflict, and I bring up the adage, an angry man is a hungry man. And then somebody asked me, what about women? And I reflected on it. Then I last week I was at the World Bank Fragility Forum, and I thought about my answer to that one. Then somebody got up and said, an angry person is a hungry person. Then I said, no, that particular expression needs some gender disaggregation, because men and women react to hunger differently. An angry man is a hungry man, but on reflection, a hungry man is an angry man, but a hungry woman is a strong and resilient woman that will go hungry to feed her family. So you see why for food salary for women. For human capital development, we already don't talk about education, we already don't talk about health. So I will move on with that, but in all the other areas of the human capital development, where the access to water, social protection, we make sure we emphasize support to women. 500,000 jobs for youth. Women themselves, they inside it. But I detect problem with that as well, Mr. Vice President. And I raised this at a couple of fora that when we just reflect, when we talk about youth in this country, most of the time we're referring to men. I've heard of a recent discussion in which women said youth have encroached on their space. But you have women who are youth. But we don't see it that way. Even a lot of us sitting here don't see it that way. I've been to a community in which I was doing a survey for youth, women, and entry. Got to the youth group, there were no women. I said, when I don't get female youth now, I don't get woman youth. They say, no, once the woman don't old, 16, 18, don't marry, not to youth again. So that poses a problem in the 500,000 jobs for youth. Because most of the time, we're looking at men, and we're thinking of male occupation. But then I think, Mr. Vice President, we have a problem in our local parliament that we say youth man. Youth man, as soon as you talk about youth, it's youth man. So now we have to start thinking about youth woman. And then we will focus on the young women. Game Changer 5, delivery. I would like to close with two tiny proverbs. The one is the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. We have started with the first step, gender empowerment through the GE Act, and that is our first step. But